There is a war being waged against you in your workplace, chosen one, and the battlefield is invisible to the untrained eye. You walk into the office and the energy shifts. Conversations halt mid-sentence, eyes avert. The atmospheric pressure changes as if a thunderstorm just rolled in over the horizon. You have done nothing wrong, committed no offense, spoken no harsh word, and yet you feel the weight of collective resistance pressing against your chest like an invisible hand. This is not paranoia. This is not insecurity. This is the divine collision that occurs when light enters a room that has grown comfortable with shadow. What you are experiencing has been documented across millennia of spiritual texts, and it represents one of the most profound mysteries of human consciousness, the phenomenon of energetic disruption. Your very presence, not your actions or words, but your mere existence in a space, triggers cascade reactions in the nervous systems of those around you. This happens because you carry something they have spent lifetimes avoiding. Authentic selfhood forged in the furnace of adversity. You have walked through valleys where most people build permanent residences. You have survived nights that would have broken ordinary souls into fragments too small to reassemble. And now you emerge carrying a frequency that their systems recognize as simultaneously desirable and threatening. Between the 150th word of this revelation, I must pause to share something critical with you. Something I explore in tremendous depth in the second volume of the 3 Keys to a Prosperous Life, which I have left for you in the pinned comment below. That work dissects the exact spiritual mechanics of why suffering becomes your greatest credential, and how the universe reads your energy signature like a resume written in frequencies invisible to human eyes. But for now, understand this. Your workplace jealousy is not a bug in the system. It is a feature of your divine assignment. The metaphysical reality operating here defies conventional understanding. In spiritual ecosystems, energy operates according to laws as immutable as gravity. When you enter a space carrying genuine peace, not the fragile performance of calm that requires perfect conditions, but the unshakable centeredness that comes from having already survived your worst fears, you become a living disruption to the false equilibrium others have constructed. Their peace depends on external circumstances, the right job title, the perfect amount of recognition, the ideal salary, the absence of criticism. Your peace exists independently of these variables, and this independence registers in their unconscious minds as evidence of an unbridgeable gap between you and them. From the scientific lens, your nervous system underwent profound restructuring during your wilderness seasons. Every trauma survived without shattering, every betrayal endured without becoming bitter, every loss absorbed without becoming permanently cynical. These experiences rewired your vagal nerve, strengthened your parasympathetic nervous system, and created neural pathways capable of maintaining equilibrium under conditions that would send most humans into fight-or-flight panic. Neuroscientists call this process post-traumatic growth, but ancient mystics knew it as the refinement fire that transforms base metals into gold. Your brain's amygdala, once easily triggered by perceived threats, now operates with discernment born from having faced real danger and survived. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive function and emotional regulation, developed density that only comes from repeated practice, choosing wisdom over reaction, patience over impulsivity, silence over defensive speech. But here lies the paradox that creates workplace warfare. When you walk into a meeting carrying this hard-won nervous system stability, you broadcast what neuroscience calls safety signals. Your regulated breathing, steady eye contact, unhurried movements, and calm vocal tone all communicate to the primitive brains of others that no threat exists. Yet for people whose entire identity architecture depends on being the most capable, most knowledgeable, most valuable person in the room, Your groundedness becomes the greatest threat imaginable. Their amygdalae interpret your peace as evidence that you possess something they lack, and rather than inspiring curiosity or admiration, it triggers the comparison circuitry in their anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for detecting social discrepancies and status differentials. The historical record illuminates this pattern with remarkable consistency. Consider Joseph in Egypt, sold into slavery by his own brothers, not because he committed crimes against them, but because his dreams revealed a destiny so magnificent that it exposed the ordinariness of their paths by comparison. The ancient Hebrew text describes how his father Jacob loved Joseph more than his other sons and gave him the coat of many colors, but the deeper truth lay in Joseph's capacity to receive and articulate divine revelation. His brothers could not bear their own reflection in the mirror of his anointing. When you carry prophecy in your bones, when you dream in symbols that lesser consciousness cannot decode, when you speak futures that challenge present power structures, you become intolerable to those invested in the current hierarchy. Fast forward through history to Daniel in Babylon, a Hebrew exile who rose to prominence in a foreign empire through sheer excellence and uncorrupted character. The text in Daniel chapter 6 reveals that other administrators and satraps sought grounds for accusation against Daniel concerning kingdom business, but they could find no grounds of corruption or negligence. Here stands the chosen one's dilemma in crystalline clarity. When your work is beyond reproach, when your character is unimpeachable, when your results are undeniable, the opposition shifts from attacking your performance to attacking your existence. Daniel's colleagues conspired to criminalize his prayer life because they could not defeat his professional competence. This is the exact pattern playing out in your modern workplace. When they cannot find fault in your work, they create false narratives about your personality, your motives, your attitude, your team fit. Joan of Arc provides perhaps the most visceral historical example of this dynamic. An illiterate peasant girl, hearing divine voices and leading armies to victory, represented such a profound disruption to established religious and military hierarchies that burning her alive became the only solution conceivable to those whose authority she threatened. She was not executed for military incompetence. Her battlefield record was extraordinary. She was not killed for heresy. Her theological understanding aligned with church doctrine. She was eliminated because an uneducated teenager accessing direct divine communication without institutional permission exposed the spiritual bankruptcy of the religious establishment. Her existence proved that God's voice was not monopolized by ordained priests, and this democratization of divine access threatened to dismantle centuries of carefully constructed power structures. This pattern repeats across cultures and eras with such consistency that it reveals universal spiritual law. The Sufi mystics speak of the stations of the soul, acknowledging that advanced spiritual travelers often face persecution from those still attached to lower consciousness. Buddhist texts describe how the bodhisattva encounters resistance from beings invested in samsara, the cycle of suffering and illusion. Kabbalah teaches that elevated souls spark controversy merely by existing in proximity to those operating from contracted awareness. Indigenous wisdom traditions recognize that medicine people, shamans, and visionaries face suspicion and testing from tribal members who fear the power such individuals access. The pattern is not cultural, it is archetypal. It is woven into the fabric of human spiritual evolution. Now let us examine the biological mechanism with precision that leaves no room for doubt. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, and among these exists a particular category called mirror neurons, discovered accidentally by Italian neuroscientists in the 1990s. These specialized cells fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing that same action. They create the neural foundation for empathy, learning through observation, and the unconscious mimicry that happens when you spend time with others. But mirror neurons also create vulnerability to emotional contagion and comparison-based suffering. When your co-worker observes you remaining calm during a crisis that would send them into panic, their mirror neurons fire as if they themselves are experiencing your calmness. But their nervous system cannot sustain this state because they lack the neural infrastructure you built through years of adversity. This creates cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension between two contradictory beliefs. Their mirror neurons tell them they should feel calm like you, but their nervous system capacity reveals they cannot maintain such regulation. Rather than accepting this gap as invitation for growth, their ego interprets it as evidence of threat. You become the problem that must be eliminated or diminished to restore their internal equilibrium. The limbic system, humanity's emotional brain inherited from ancient mammalian ancestors, operates on simple binary logic: safety or threat, friend or foe, approach or avoid. When you enter a space carrying genuine inner authority, not the performance of confidence that requires constant external validation, but the quiet self-assurance that comes from knowing you have already survived your worst-case scenarios, you trigger threat responses in individuals whose limbic systems remain developmentally arrested in insecurity. They cannot articulate why you bother them. They often cannot even consciously acknowledge the jealousy burning through their nervous systems like acid. Instead, they experience you as somehow wrong, somehow off, somehow not fitting in, and they construct elaborate rationalizations to justify the discomfort your presence generates. The prefrontal cortex, seat of human reasoning and executive function, then builds narratives to explain these limbic reactions. Since admitting direct jealousy would damage their self-concept as good and fair people, their brains create alternative explanations. You are arrogant even when you speak rarely. You are intimidating even when you offer only kindness. You are not a team player even when you consistently support others. You are trying to make others look bad even when you deliberately shine light on colleagues' contributions. These accusations reveal more about the accuser's internal experience than about your actual behavior. They are projections, psychological defense mechanisms that allow threatened egos to externalize their internal discomfort. Cortisol, the stress hormone flooding their systems when you excel without apparent effort, creates a biochemical imperative to eliminate the perceived threat. Chronic cortisol exposure damages the hippocampus, impairs memory formation, suppresses immune function, and keeps the body in perpetual fight-or-flight mode. Your success becomes their biological stressor, and their bodies demand resolution through your diminishment or removal. This is not conscious cruelty. It is unconscious survival mechanism operating through civilized corporate behavior. The gossip, the credit theft, the strategic exclusion, the sudden policy changes targeting your work style, all of these represent primitive threat response patterns dressed in professional conduct. Meanwhile, your nervous system operates from a fundamentally different biological baseline. The vagus nerve, the major component of the parasympathetic nervous system, has been strengthened in you through repeated practice of remaining grounded during chaos. This nerve runs from your brainstem through your heart and into your digestive system, and it functions as the body's brake pedal against stress responses. When you walked through seasons where you had no choice but to remain functional despite heartbreak, despite betrayal, despite the collapse of everything you built, your vagal tone strengthened. High vagal tone correlates with emotional regulation, social connection capacity, and resilience under pressure. Low vagal tone correlates with anxiety, depression, and inflammatory diseases. You developed high vagal tone through necessity, through the spiritual equivalent of high-altitude training that builds red blood cells and lung capacity. Now you operate at sea level with the cardiovascular system of an elite athlete, while your colleagues possess the baseline fitness of sedentary individuals. When workplace pressure rises, you breathe deeper, think clearer, respond rather than react, and maintain performance quality that they cannot comprehend. They interpret this as supernatural advantage rather than recognizing it as the harvest of seeds planted in suffering soil. The phenomenon of neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to rewire itself throughout life based on experience and practice, explains why your wilderness seasons were not wasted time, but intensive preparation. Every night you spent in spiritual agony, questioning your purpose and pleading for direction, your brain was forming new neural connections in regions responsible for meaning-making and existential resilience. Every betrayal you survived without becoming permanently bitter strengthened neural pathways associated with forgiveness and emotional flexibility. Every loss you absorbed without losing faith deepened your brain's capacity to hold paradox, to simultaneously grieve what ended while remaining open to what might begin. Neuroscientists studying contemplatives, mystics, and individuals who have survived profound trauma without developing post-traumatic stress disorder have discovered that these populations share common brain characteristics. Their prefrontal cortices show increased gray matter density. Their amygdalae show decreased reactivity. Their default mode networks, the brain regions active during rest and self-reflection, show increased connectivity. These changes do not occur through privilege or luck. They develop through sustained practice of choosing awareness over autopilot, choosing meaning over victimhood, choosing growth over stagnation. You did not choose your suffering, but you chose how to metabolize it, and that choice rebuilt your brain architecture at the cellular level. Now, when you walk into your workplace carrying this rebuilt nervous system, you function as what spiritual traditions call a tuning fork. Your frequency, your vibration, your energetic signature begins resonating through the shared space, and other nervous systems unconsciously attempt to match it. Those capable of resonance experience your presence as calming, inspiring, elevating. They seek proximity to you, not for what you can do for them, but for how they feel in your energy field. These individuals often become your unexpected allies, recognizing in you a quality they aspire to develop themselves. But those operating from lower frequency consciousness experience your vibration as dissonance, as friction, as irritation they cannot name. Imagine a violin string tuned to middle C, encountering a frequency of high G. The strings cannot harmonize. One must change or move away. Since changing requires acknowledging their current frequency is insufficient, and since most humans resist self-examination with religious fervor, the easier path involves eliminating or diminishing the source of dissonance. You become the problem to solve, rather than the invitation to evolve. Ancient alchemical texts describe this process through the metaphor of different metals in the refiner's fire. Gold, already purified, maintains its essence regardless of heat intensity. Base metals like lead and iron break down, release impurities, and either transform or disintegrate under the same conditions. Your workplace functions as the alchemical vessel where different levels of refinement encounter heat, and the reactions reveal each substance's true nature. You are not superior to your jealous colleagues. Superiority is ego's language. You are simply further along in the purification process, and your presence reminds them of work they have been avoiding. The Bhagavad Gita, ancient Hindu scripture examining dharma and righteous action, presents the warrior Arjuna facing his relatives on the battlefield. Krishna, the divine charioteer, explains that true warriors fight not against people, but against ignorance, against unconsciousness, against the forces that prevent human flourishing. Your workplace jealousy is not personal warfare against individual humans. It is archetypal warfare between consciousness and unconsciousness, between truth and illusion, between authentic selfhood and ego-based identity. The individuals expressing jealousy are not your enemies. They are vessels through which universal resistance to evolution expresses itself. The Tao Te Ching, foundational text of Taoist philosophy, speaks to this dynamic in verse 41. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he did not laugh, it would not be the Tao. This passage encodes the exact pattern you experience. Your embodiment of authentic presence, your living demonstration that internal peace is possible regardless of external chaos, provokes three distinct responses: inspiration in those ready to evolve, ambivalence in those uncertain of the path, and mockery in those threatened by alternatives to their current consciousness. The silent war manifests through behavioral patterns so consistent across workplaces that they form recognizable signatures. Conversation cessation, when you approach signals that your presence disrupts bonding rituals built on gossip, complaint, or negativity. Human groups often cohere through shared enemy identification or mutual victimhood. And when someone enters carrying energy that refuses to participate in such dynamics, they disrupt the social glue holding the group together. Your refusal to engage in office politics, your unwillingness to participate in character assassination of absent colleagues, your consistent redirection of conversation toward solutions rather than problems, these behaviors mark you as outside the tribe, and tribal exclusion mechanisms activate automatically. Strategic exclusion from informal gatherings represents another warfare tactic. The lunch invitations that include everyone except you. The happy hour plans discussed openly while you remain uninvited. The inside jokes and shared references that bond others while excluding you. This is not accidental oversight. It is deliberate boundary maintenance by a group protecting its toxic homeostasis from your disruptive health. They sense accurately that your extended presence would raise the vibrational floor beneath which their current behavioral patterns cannot survive. They would have to either elevate to match your frequency or face the cognitive dissonance of their own small-mindedness, so they choose the simpler path of exclusion. Credit theft and idea appropriation reveal the most direct expression of jealousy. You propose a solution in a meeting and it receives minimal response. 2 weeks later, a colleague presents the identical idea and receives enthusiastic approval and recognition. This happens because your energy intimidates decision-makers even when they cannot articulate why, so they unconsciously discount your contributions. When the same idea comes from someone less threatening, they can celebrate it without the internal discomfort your presence generates. This is not logical. It is limbic. It is not fair. It is tribal. It is the primitive brain preferring familiar limitation over threatening expansion. Excessive monitoring and hypercritical evaluation patterns emerge when mediocrity encounters excellence it cannot match. Your work receives scrutiny that others escape. Your minor errors receive magnification, while others' major failures receive excuses. Your methods face questioning, while others' identical approaches receive acceptance. This represents the unconscious hope that sufficient surveillance will reveal flaws justifying the discomfort you generate, providing rational grounds to dismiss you and restore emotional equilibrium. They are not searching for truth. They are searching for permission to reject the truth your presence embodies. False friendship, offered by strategic information gatherers, represents perhaps the most insidious warfare pattern. Someone suddenly becomes friendly, asks probing questions about your background, your goals, your methods, your personal life. They position themselves as allies, as confidants, as fellow outsiders who understand your struggle. But their attention is reconnaissance, not relationship. They gather intelligence to weaponize later, to share with gossip networks, to use in positioning themselves favorably while undermining you covertly. The chosen one learns to distinguish genuine connection from strategic extraction, and this discernment comes only through having trusted prematurely and suffered the consequences. The exposure phase of divine elevation, while painful, serves protection purposes your present consciousness cannot yet fully comprehend. Before expanding your platform, increasing your influence, or elevating your position, Source must remove those incapable of celebrating your rise. Imagine being promoted to leadership while surrounded by individuals whose core identity depends on your subordinate status. They would sabotage every initiative, undermine every decision, and poison every relationship necessary for your success. The universe demonstrates mercy by allowing their true nature to surface before rather than after your elevation, though you rarely recognize this mercy until hindsight provides perspective. Fake allies reveal themselves through sudden distance or intensified criticism when your star begins rising. The colleague who seemed supportive suddenly finds fault with everything you do. The supervisor who praised your work begins documenting minor infractions. The peer who called you friend spreads rumors questioning your competence or character. These revelations, though painful, are divine kindness exposing wolves before you invite them deeper into the sheepfold. Every mask that falls, every pretense that crumbles, every false relationship that ends, these are not losses but clarifications, not setbacks but protections. Energy vampires, those individuals who drain vitality through chronic negativity, constant crisis, or emotional manipulation, expose their true nature through escalating demands as your boundaries strengthen. When you first implement healthy limits on your availability, time, or emotional labor, they intensify their neediness. They create manufactured emergencies requiring your intervention. They guilt-trip you about being different, having changed, or no longer caring. This escalation is actually de-escalation, the final thrashing of a dynamic that was always extractive but previously went unrecognized. Your growing spiritual maturity makes their vampirism visible, and they sense the food source disappearing, so they attempt to re-establish access through manipulation that ultimately only exposes them more clearly. Quantum physics, the study of reality's smallest components and strangest behaviors, offers unexpected illumination on these dynamics. The observer effect, demonstrated through the famous double-slit experiment, reveals that the act of observation influences the behavior of subatomic particles. An electron behaves as a wave of probability until observed, at which point it collapses into a definite particle state. This suggests consciousness is not passive reception of objective reality, but active participation in reality's manifestation. Extend this principle to human experience. Your consciousness, your observation, your awareness literally influences probability fields around you. When you carry elevated awareness, when you have done the internal work of confronting your shadow, healing your wounds, and aligning with your authentic truth, your consciousness functions at a higher coherence level. Coherence in physics describes wave patterns that are synchronized and reinforcing rather than chaotic and cancelling. Your coherent consciousness broadcasts into the quantum field like a radio signal, and reality responds by organizing probability in your favor. This explains why synchronicity multiplies around chosen ones, why perfect timing becomes normal, why resources materialize exactly when needed, why obstacles dissolve at the last moment. Your colleagues sense this, though they lack vocabulary to describe it. They watch you navigate situations that would destroy them, and you emerge not just surviving, but flourishing. They observe doors opening for you that remained locked for them despite greater effort. They witness your promotion, your opportunity, your recognition arriving through channels they cannot access. Their rational minds cannot compute this pattern, so their egos construct narratives of unfairness, privilege, or luck to maintain their worldview where effort determines outcome. But deeper consciousness recognizes that you are operating according to different laws, accessing different fields, participating in reality creation rather than merely responding to circumstances. The prophetic shift accelerates once environmental cleansing completes. Opportunities begin aligning with supernatural timing that defies coincidence. The job offer arrives the day after you finally release the old position. The mentor appears precisely when you need specific guidance. The financial provision manifests at the exact moment bills come due. The new relationship emerges immediately after you genuinely release the old one. This is not magic, it is physics. When interference is removed from a system, when resistance is neutralized, energy flows according to its natural path. And that path is always toward greater organization, greater complexity, and greater expression of potential. Resources materialize exactly when needed because you have learned to trust process over possession. Your wilderness seasons taught you that hoarding is fear-based, that grasping creates scarcity, that clutching prevents receiving. You learned to hold opportunities loosely, to release what no longer serves, to make space for the new by releasing the old. This creates flow rather than stagnation, circulation rather than accumulation. The universe fills empty vessels but cannot pour into cups already full of inferior wine. Your willingness to empty yourself of toxic relationships, limiting beliefs, and fear-based strategies created capacity for divine provision to occupy. Recognition comes from unexpected sources because your true value registers with those operating at similar frequency. The decision maker who ignored you for years suddenly sees you clearly. The industry leader you never met personally reaches out with an opportunity. The influential figure whose work you admired from distance becomes your advocate without your pursuit. This happens because consciousness recognizes consciousness. Your frequency now broadcasts clearly enough that those tuned to similar stations can receive your signal across physical distance and social barriers. Authority grows without effort because authentic authority is recognition of what already exists rather than acquisition of what is lacking. You are not becoming authoritative. You are revealing the authority you always possessed but kept hidden to accommodate others' comfort. Every time you